Welcome to Wellness Rebranded, the podcast for women ready to redesign their relationship with food, fitness, and feelings.
We are a registered dietitian, a personal trainer, and a mental health therapist. 3 experts, 1 mission.
To help you break free from diet culture, hustle culture, and emotional burnout, let's redefine what wellness really means on your terms.
What's up, everybody? Maria and I are here with Brad Evans. Brad is the creator of the Jukestir, and this is a tool that I use with my clients all the time, and they love it. So when he reached out to us, we thought this would be an excellent guest to have on our show to kind of like spread the word about this unique fitness tool and to kind of hear his story because it is really interesting how this thing came about. So, Brad, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here.
So can you tell us like what is this thing and how did it get started?
Yeah, so Jukestir is a punching bag that moves out of the way. And I think our missions are aligned as far as fitness and rebranding what it means to be fit. So it started off as just a punching bag, but it's actually changing fitness. Typical fitness is outside in. Everybody's concerned about muscles and strength and looks and so on. But Jukestir is a nervous system training device. So it's fitness from the inside out. And I think that this is a important paradigm shift in the fitness industry. But that's not how it started. It started as just something fun that I made and a punching bag to hit.
So that's like amazing because we neglect the nervous system so much. You know, we're all just kind of like running at this heightened level of, energy. So having a fitness tool that can really help us train that is like game changing.
So my new analogy to explain it to people is your cell phone. Your cell phone looks basically the same year after year. The iPhone 15 and the iPhone 12 are very similar looking. It's the insides that get upgraded. You want faster RAM or more memory and so on and so forth. And so that's what I'm trying to show people. And it's hard because you can't see it, but it's your nervous system that drives your muscles and that controls everything. And when you upgrade that, now all your apps are going to run better. And when I say apps, I mean your balance, your coordination, your speed, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's an important change and it's happening slowly, but the word is out there. And, that's where we're at now. But maybe we should talk about how this got started.
I love that. And that's my next question, Brad. So maybe I don't have this right, but I have that you are a history teacher and you went from teaching to creating a training tool. Is that true? And what was the moment that you said, okay, I need to build this and why?
Okay, so my buddy and I, we both did martial arts and we both played soccer. And in soccer, I was in better shape. But when we'd get in the ring, I'd get gassed out. He'd last forever. And I thought, how's this possible? I thought I was in better shape. So I started reading some books. One of them was Bruce Lee's Tao of Jeet Kune Do. He talks about neurophysiological adjustment, which is a fancy word to say it's your brain that controls your muscles. And he talks about if your brain does a better job at controlling your muscles, you're going to use less energy, you're going to be faster, and so on and so forth. And I thought, great, how do we train this? And so I thought about it for days and days, and I finally had that flux capacitor moment where I just said, aha, we got punching bags you hit hard. We got punching bags you hit rhythmically, but we don't have a punching bag that you miss, that's so unpredictable you can't track it. And so I went out and I got foam from Home Depot and I started putting different weights in it. And for like the first year, we were just playing with different weights and different foams and different ropes to try to make the movement more realistic. And we were only taking it to fighters primarily to have them kind of dial in the motion. The next level that really opened up what this could be is I sent it to the University of South Carolina. I wanted their football team to use it. And they say, yeah, we're using it in our neurological rehabilitation laboratory. We're using it for people that have been in car accidents to help them regain motor coordination. And I was on the phone with them and I said, yeah, That's what I designed it for. By the way, neuromuscular what? Like I didn't even know what they were talking about. And so that really opened up this door. Again, I only thought about it as a punching bag, but it turns out it's much more. It's a nervous system training.
That's
So there,
amazing.
like a lot of people benefiting from this. So if we, something that I read too when I was reading about what you created was that it also brings fun to fitness. And I am one of those people that do not go to a gym because I feel intimidated by all this traditional equipment. But then with this tool, not also brings a lot of benefits physically, mentally, but it's also, I mean, it looks fun. Is it?
It's a human cat toy. I mean, that's really what it is. It's moving around and you're batting at it. And so that's really what it is. The science behind that is a lot of the same science as like a slot machine. So a slot machine, unpredictable reward, easily
Yes.
repeatable. And so your brain loves that challenge. And so because it's always unpredictable and you never know when you're going to hit it or not, it makes it fun. And it's the surprise. People, when you watch these videos of people hitting it for the first time, they're legitimately shocked at the movement. And that's what makes it fun. For me personally, sometimes, we talked about me being a teacher. Is I love that job, but those kids can sometimes take the energy out of you.
Whew.
And when I come home, my workout can be a chore. I don't want that. And it's hard to transition from my work day to my workout. Jukester has helped me. All right, look, most people like to hit stuff. It's just kind of natural. It's fun. So if I can just get in there and hit it for 5 or 10 minutes and get my body moving, now I'm transitioned to my workout. Now I can do my push-ups or whatever it is I'm going to do because I've found a little bit of motivation. So you're right. When something's fun, it's just easier to do.
It's fun for me at the gym. It's a regular, like normal gym, right? It's not a boxing training place or anything like that. But we have hooks for 3 punching bags. And one of our punching bags rammed into a rack of dumbbells and all the insides spilled out. So we have 2 punching bags and an empty hook. So when I got my Jukester, I just brought it in and hung it up there. And I use it with my clients, but it's been fun for me to see like the handful of fighters that work out there to kind of look at it and be like, what the heck is this thing? And mess around with it because they're used to hitting like a heavy bag. And so when they hit this, like, of course it goes flying, but it's so unpredictable that they miss it like frequently. And you always see the look on their face like, whoa, did I just miss the bag? Like, how did that happen? And you can see their brain like being intrigued by this tool.
Yeah. So when it comes to the boxing side of it, look, I'm not knocking heavy bag. I love it. I own one. I'm not knocking mitts, but most of my training at my boxing gym, you're hitting the pads or the mitts 100% of the time. You're very rarely missing. You
Hmm.
actually grow more when you push past what you're capable of. So you need to be failing in order to succeed. You need to be able to miss in order to get better. And so that's where this bag comes in because, yeah, you'll miss it, but eventually you'll get faster.
Well, hold on, because now we're getting into my area, which I love, which is the possible mental and emotional benefits of this, right? You're talking about, it sounds like stress tolerance and maybe even the difference between responding and reacting, which is life in itself, right? Have you seen emotional benefits to this?
Yeah, so they're doing a large study, and we can talk about the study in a minute. But one of the things that they're testing is your resilience because
Mhm.
you're going to hit, fail. But now
Exactly.
you got to get right back on the ball and try to hit it again. And
Yeah.
so this is an exercise where you can fail and then you get right back on it. And it's almost subconscious. I wouldn't say most people say, let me get a jukester so I can build my resilience. You just get it because it's fun to hit,
Right.
but it's actually teaching you to keep going to, hey, you fall down, get back up. You miss, okay, we'll get right back in there and go with the next punch. And so there is a lot of mental resilience training involved in this.
I
I
can see
love
that.
that.
Yeah. It's like
I
frustration tolerance. How we train to be tolerant to frustration and to unpredictable things. And again, it's life itself. What a great training in that sense, not only physical, but it's physical and mental fitness.
Absolutely. And like I said, I just made it for boxing. I just made it for fun. But this thing is just got legs. I didn't understand necessarily the nervous system back then. And yeah, they're using it for mental training. One of my best like letters that I've ever received, it was like from a guy, Brett Hand. He's an occupational therapist, and he's using it for people with autism
Mm.
and people with ADHD and just sensory issues. He just uses it to give them something to do and to help them both mentally and physically.
Mhm.
I actually love this tool because, I work with Gen Pop, right? I'm not training, fighters most of the time. And many of my clients are like 70 and 80-year-old women who, from that generation, like fighting and boxing was never even a consideration for them. And they were like scared to fall. Right. And now they're like punching this punching bag and having a great time doing it and learning like balance and coordination. Some of them are even like juking it a little bit, which is like so fun for me to see. And I really see the resilience that they're building because of this tool.
Absolutely. And so it was a boxing tool. And then I took it to ACSM, which is the American College of Sports Medicine. And people were there saying, hey, you gotta use this for rock steady boxing. And
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay, tell me more. And so you roll the clock back a year or two ago, the people buying it are all UFC, MMA guys and gyms and so on and so forth. But now I'd say half of our customer base is what you're talking about, an older generation that's looking for some coordination. They might or might not have Parkinson's, but what they do have is a fear of falling. They don't want to fall and get injured. And so there's some products out there that do hand-eye coordination and they're good, but this product is unique because there's so much footwork involved, that foot-eye coordination, whether
Hmm.
that's just you moving around the bag as you punch it or actually kicking the bag. Some of our more advanced users, they'll go head, body, and then kick, and you're working up and down and back and forth, and it's just great for overall total body coordination.
So, going back to the emotional fitness, you mentioned resilience, and the other thing that comes to mind for me is mindfulness. Punching something safely can be a mindfulness practice. You are present in the moment, feeling strong and alive and not thinking of the bills you have to pay, not thinking of, how your kids at home are fighting with each other and you're coming back to that. I don't know, whatever I'm talking about me, but whatever it is, in that moment, you're present with that tool and working on so many areas of yourself that it is, as a therapist, the actual definition of mindfulness. Have you ever put the two things together, the Jukestir and mindfulness?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I'm getting out a little over my skis when I talk about this. I'm not the expert, but the way your brain works is it's always comparing the present and the past. Like when you go to catch a ball, it's going to look at all the previous times you've caught the ball, and then it's going to make a guess at what reality is. And we're about 200 milliseconds behind whatever reality is. We're actually, your brain is a prediction machine. Well, because Jukester is unpredictable, your brain goes, wait a second, this ain't working. And it puts a premium on incoming data rather than previous data. And this is where it's going to be building more synapses and making better connections. But going back to where you're talking about mindfulness, that's literally putting you in the moment. Like you have to be focused on the moment, no past, no future, just what you're doing right now, because it's never the same thing twice. Again, I love speed bag and double ended bag, but there are videos of people being blindfolded and hitting these bags because they build your rhythm. You're always supposed to hit them in the same place and at the same
Hmm.
time. Because this bag never moves the same way twice, you've got to use your eyes, you've got to focus. And like I said, it's a different way of organizing information. It's about what's happening right now and not really about anything you've ever done in the past, which is, a good way to live.
It feels like Jukester can really like play a big role in the community, especially with like the Parkinson's and rock steady type situation. Have you found that to be true?
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, exercise in general is more fun when you have more people, right? And
Totally.
so when I go to these groups and they're all, and there's, four jukesters on the, and they're all using them, I'm flattered and I'm smiling and I love it and everybody's having a good time. It's fun for one, but it's even more fun when you have a group. And then there are these different communities. We're dialed in. We're an official partner now with Rocksteady Boxing. They've seen how much it's helped their clients, and they're happy to push it out. But there's other communities that we haven't really touched on. There's, again, going back to the ACSM, people said, hey, you should be using this for people with stroke or concussions or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot more road ahead of us for introducing it to those communities. It's been great. Personally, even though I made it for MMA, I'm way more happy about it being a Parkinson's tool. Like, instead of, here, buy this, it's going to help you knock this guy out. It's, buy this, it's going to help you mentally and physically heal. I'm really more excited about this avenue.
Yeah, that's so on brand for us, you know. Were you a fighter in your like previous life?
Well, I train at an MMA gym, but I've been training karate, Muay Thai, boxing for 20 years, but I am not like a pro fighter or anything like that. I would say I'm a good enthusiast.
Nice.
I enjoy the workout, I enjoy the challenge. And you guys, going back to me being a teacher, I enjoy this aspect of it. I don't know if this is something you'll want to keep or cut, but one of my students, his dad owns the gym in town. And so my student invited me out there, and he thought he was going to get, to live the dream of punching his teacher. And little did he know, his teacher knew a few things, but I played dumb. I was like, well, what's this? A jab? How do you throw this? Oh, okay. And the mouthpiece goes in, and I'm over there clinching them up. It was fun. We all had a good laugh after it. This was a few years ago. He's grown up now. He's surpassed me, but
That might
it
be
was.
every teacher's dream to punch their
Yeah, that's
student.
what I mean. He thought he was going to live his dream. I got to live mine. You know, within the realm of a sport. Now, I'm not trying to hurt nobody.
My husband was a public school teacher for like 2 years, so I understand the struggle there.
Yeah, no, I love the job. It's just, we were all kids once. You value your
Totally.
education when you get older. So it is what it is.
Now I'm thinking we can use this Jukestir like in couples therapy. Like, I mean, like I would like to like, or siblings therapy. Like we could come up with ideas, Brad, on how to use it.
That's funny. I could.
Maria, if you ever want to borrow mine and bring it home for your girls, you
Yeah.
let me know.
I'm gonna buy my own, Tara, after this.
Speaking of, you talk about your girls and your kids, I want to make sure I throw this in there because it seems like such a new concept or a dramatic concept, but this is another part of fitness that we kind of go off on this turn. The very first fitness tool most kids get, or most people get, is a child's mobile. It's in the crib, it's moving. See, think, react. Okay, that's the number one thing we get for our kids. But then what happens when they get older and when we become adults? We just get away from that. And so there's a lot of similarities between Jukester and a child's mobile. It's the same sort of proven strategy: see, think,
Yeah,
react, but it's just for adults.
I
So
love it. I
That's
love
so
it.
interesting.
yeah,
So
where did we go? Why did we stop doing that? We know it works when you're a kid. You should just be doing that your whole life.
there's so many things that we
Totally.
stopped doing when we were young that we shouldn't, you know. So and you're right, that's one of them. Why? Brad, so you shared before like a letter you got from somebody, and that aligns with a question that I have for you. What would you say has been the most meaningful feedback or testimonial that you have received about the Jukesteer?
Just all the rock steady boxing places. I've got, whether it's Instagram or sometimes they'll send me videos, just hundreds of either endorsements or videos or people using it. And it just means a lot to me. And again, I wish I could take full credit, but this is more, you can call it karma, you can call it God's plan, you can call it whatever you want. This is all kind of aligned. It was a bigger idea than I originally thought it was. And so it's neat to see people being helped with something that I made. And that's, when they told me I could help people with Parkinson's, I kind of shook my head, didn't really understand. But now we're at a point where there's I don't know the number, but it's probably close to 1,000 people been helped by this bag, using this
I
bag.
love
And
it.
so, yeah, that's awesome.
Oh,
It's
yeah, it
so
is
meaningful.
awesome. And is it true that that you made your first prototype in your garage when you went to Home Depot and did all that? You did it in your garage?
Yeah, so the story behind that is, probably spent a year in my garage. People don't understand the movement has been calculated. So you could put one weight. Do you put two weights? Do you put them in the top, the middle, the bottom? What happens if the weights are towards the edges versus the middle? I mean, I got way too into this. What happens if you use a wire rope? What happens if that wire rope is coated in nylon versus coated in vinyl? People don't want to know, but I went through 1,000 different iterations. And we'd take them to these pro fighters and say, here's 3 or 4 versions. Which one do you like? And then we'd get one and we'd make more. And then, so we kind of had the best one. And then I took it up to a neuroscientist out of Virginia Tech, and he works with the tennis players up there. And he said, hey, look, if you do this and you change that and you change the shape a little bit, you'll get even more neurogenesis. And so we did all that, and that became the next level. So yeah, I made it out of my garage. We got on Amazon. It sold so many on Amazon that I couldn't keep up making it out of my garage. And so we had to kind of shut it down and get a professional factory to make it. And that's where we're at now. We're in year about 3 of a professional factory making
Wow.
it, and
It's
off it
amazing.
goes. Yeah.
Dude, and
And
honestly, I think one of the really cool parts about this story is your drive to like
Yes.
take it to the Virginia Tech, to take it to USC,
Yes.
to reach out to personal trainers of the year, to like
Mm-hmm.
talk about the product, to go to ACSM. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it, man.
the ACSM trip was fun because we went by Dinosaur Monument with the kids and we drove to Colorado. And so it becomes, it's an adventure and a business thing at once. There's a book called Shoe Dog, and it's by the founder of Nike. And he talks about and at the end, he sells his company for whatever millions of dollars. But he says the real reward is this book, all the different stories that I have to tell because of Nike, because of making the product. And so that's how I feel about Jukester. Like, the reward is the people I've met, the journey, you and I talking right now. I wouldn't have had this opportunity. And so, yeah, it's a great story. And I'm excited and blessed that it's Jukester's part of people's lives. It's part of their story. So
So cool.
Well, I can say it's definitely changed the way that I train my clients, and the vast majority love having another tool in the toolbox to like get them warmed up and to work on balance coordination and injury prevention. Like, they're super into that. So I'm grateful for the tool.
the other part about it, thank you. And the other part about what you just said, balance, coordination, you think about fitness, I'm usually thinking like from when I was a kid and playing football, bench press and arm curls. You're less
Yeah,
likely to need to push 200 pounds off your body. You're more
yeah,
likely needing to move your feet and not fall or catch the
totally,
glass that fell out of the cupboard. And so there's just a lot more practical value to coordination and balance, I think,
yeah,
than there is just pure strength training. I'm not saying don't lift weights. I lift weights too, but there's something
totally.
about being coordinated that you'll use every day.
I'm a total dude bro on the inside. Like, I love doing my deadlifts and my bench press and my back squat and all that. But like, does it really apply to everyday life? Like, I can't remember the last time I did like a bench press type movement, you know? So something like adding in the jukester to complement your training is like going to be ideal.
It's that quick reaction time. Someone pulls out in front of you and then whoop, whoop, you can swerve around them and not get hit. That's something that's more likely to happen than a tree falling on you or something. So
True.
I agree. Brad, 2 questions. You're moving forward, your dreams for Jukestir. What would you say?
Yes, I was going to ask that too.
well, here we go. Going back to the study, which I alluded to earlier. So Jukester is going to be part of something called the Green Light Study, and it's at the University of Illinois, Chicago, and it's the largest study of its kind. And we've sent them the bags. It'll be taking place this fall, and then we'll get results about this time next year. And they're just using it for speed and reaction training and just kind of gathering the data on how your brain, we know that it engages your brain. Is that 10%, 25% more than regular exercise? They're going to be measuring all that. And so it's really exciting. And so we've just had these marks that have been boosts. One of our big boosts last year was a lady named Taylor Townsend. She won Wimbledon doubles, and she was training with the Jukester, and then she won the Wimbledon. So that just, that brings in a whole new audience. I think this study will bring in a whole new audience. And so where I'd like to be next year is, basically double where we're at now, just getting the word out there and selling Jukesters. And even if people don't buy Jukesters, just that they at least think about nervous system training. There's other ways to do it. You can bounce a ball as you exercise, or dual task. You can have a trainer hold up two fingers while you're doing a push up, and you can add the numbers together. There's just ways to kind of get more bang for your buck, cross train your body and brain. If you're going to work out, you might as well work out both at the same time. That's sort of the message there.
I
I
love
have,
that analogy you
oh,
had of like
mhm,
the phone, how it kind of looks the same, but the internals are so much more upgraded. Because I think that's the perfect metaphor for the jukester,
mhm,
or for any type of nervous system training for that matter. But
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to be morbid, but if you lost your arm, you're pretty much the same person, okay? But if you lose your nervous system or your brain, it's game over. Like, this is where you reside, as
yes.
going back to mindfulness. Your mind and who you think you are is in this nervous system. Who would you
mhm,
be if your nervous system was faster, stronger, if you upgraded the part of your body that is really who you are? Um,
mhm.
and we don't actually know how far you can go, so it's kind of fresh territory.
And I have no doubt you're going to accomplish everything you're setting up for yourself. No doubt. This is a great tool. My last super random, out of nowhere question, super weird. Okay. You're ready?
I'm ready for it.
Okay. If the jukester could talk to someone mid workout, what would it say?
Probably something like, neener neener, you can't get me, or something like that, like, because it's wiggling out of the way.
Yeah, or it could be something like, here we are working out, so many things. I wrote down as we were talking, I wrote down like my own definition of the jukester. Okay, you want to hear it and let me know what
Let's
you
hear.
think. Okay, here's your
Okay.
new marketing. Your new marketing sense, according to me. So I wrote, it's a portable, because we haven't even mentioned that it is portable. That's a big difference with the big bags, right? That's
Sure.
a benefit. Okay, so a portable and fun dynamic tool designed for unpredictable movement, improve reaction speed, decision making, hand-eye coordination, balance coordination, building neural pathways, fall prevention, stress and frustration tolerance, and just making movement fun.
Can I quote you on that? That will be my next ad.
Yes, I'm hired.
Thank you for writing the ad copy on my next Instagram post. I appreciate that.
Deal. All right.
Well, Brad, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have anything else you want to share?
No, it was a pleasure to be on. I really appreciate this opportunity. And if that's thank you again.
Of
And
course.
thank you, Brad, for being here. You listeners know that I love to share takeaways before we end our episodes. And today, for me, this episode has been about making fitness feel fun, how movement can improve coordination, reaction time, but also how you can rewire your brain at any age when you learn a new skill. And Jukester can give us that. And how helping others can start with a wild idea in your garage. So, Brad, thank you so much for wanting to be in the podcast, accepting our invitation to being in the podcast. It's been a pleasure and honor. And I personally wish you all the very best, because what you created, man, is a thing, right? Is
Lives.
so cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's paradigm shifting, and I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
Brad, tell the people where they can find you and where they can get the Jukester if they want one.
Yeah, you want to learn more? It's jukester.com, Jukestir. Juke, it means to move out of the way, and stir means to combine two things or to move in a circle like you're stirring the pot. So put juke and stir together, and well, bam, there you go.
And then on the show notes, we're going to have your Instagram, but if you can share with people your handle and so they can find you and follow you there as well.
Yeah, so it's Jukes. We got 2 or 3 different ones. We got Jukestir MMA. If you're more interested in the boxing side of things, we've got Jukestir Health. If you're more interested in the Parkinson's and the healthcare, and then Jukestir Fitness. If you're more interested in how to add Jukestir to like regular traditional exercises.
I had no idea you had so many Instagrams.
Well, here's why. The Jukestir MMA, I put out a post where people are using the Jukestir and then they're fighting. And it was great for one segment of the population, but the physical therapists and the doctors don't want to see people
Yeah.
getting injured. They want to see people getting help.
They're
So we
scared
have
of
to
it,
kind
totally.
of split the marketing to make sure people get what they want.
Not just a pretty face, Brad.
Thank you so much again. And for all of you, until next episode.
Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with me outside of this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at coaching_therapist.
I'm Elizabeth. You can find me at Elizabeth Harris Nutrition or in my Facebook group, Health and Healing with Intuitive Eating.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Tara De Leon Fitness. Guys, if you loved this episode or any of our other episodes, we would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It really, really helps us get the non-diet word out to the rest of the world. So please leave us a review.
Yes, thank you.